A podcast is one of the most powerful relationship building tools you can ever create. Your listeners spend time with you in their ears and hearts, and that kind of trust can't be built any other way. Pat Flynn, Smart Passive Income. Welcome to Casa De Confidence, a podcast for you. You'll hear some incredible women
and some awesome, cool dudes
going confidently in the direction of their dreams and living in the purpose of their heart.
You're our host,
Julie DeLucca-Collins, and you are our sidekick. Hashtag handsome hot husband.
That again.
And the producer of the show.
That I am.
I am an author, speaker, coach, dreamer, and most of all,
we help people go in the direction of their dreams
and support them on their purpose. So pull up a chair,
grab a drink,
and make yourself at home, because our casa
is your casa. Welcome back to another episode of Casa De Confidence. I'm Dan Collins, and sitting across from me, as always, is my beautiful, wonderful wife and the hostess with the mostest, Julie DeLucca-Collins.
I'm the wife that got us to win second place at the costume contest last night.
Yes. We went to a Halloween party last night. We got second place. Whoa, 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 whoa.
And I have to say, the first place was well deserved. I didn't know what it was.
Absolutely.
It was like some alien kind of thing. But
he wasn't an alien.
Oh.
It's something from Earth.
It's something. Well, it looked like an alien with its weird eyes that glowed. And
you're Gen X. You should know this. For those who know what a slee stack is and what TV show is, go leave comments somewhere about it.
What is it called? A slee stack?
Slee stack. SLEESTACK. Slee stack. From the original
my goodness.
Land of the Lost series.
He really did a really good job. Now I'm looking at these pictures.
Yes,
wow.
He did a great job. He hand-built this slee stack conversation. Every scale on it was like
hand cut.
It was fantastic. He did a great job.
Yeah, I never watched Land of the Lost.
Well, it came out early in our lives. I'm pretty sure it was like 70, 71. So when I was watching it, it was obviously reruns. But it used to be on like Saturday mornings before the cartoons.
Yeah, no, it's 74 to 76.
That's what I remember.
74 to 76.
74 to 76. I remember watching it.
Relating to the adventures of Marshall family.
Mm-hmm.
The Marshalls become trapped in a pocket universe populated by dinosaurs. Okay, it sounds like totally something you would watch.
And the theme music has banjos in it, so that just completes it all.
It sure does, doesn't it? Unbelievable.
So anyway, I remember watching that and watching. So yeah, I guess it maybe was first run when I was watching it, because I remember watching it when I lived in my first house in Moosup, Connecticut.
Moosup, Connecticut. Look at that.
So
wowzers.
Anyway, Julie, we had a great time last night, and I appreciate, going out, and we went as Shrek and
Fiona.
Yes. So that was Shrek and Fiona themed dress. We were all green and stuff because we may play ogres on TV, but
Dan did not let me get a wig. He wanted me to just go with my natural hair, and he doesn't get that menopausal hair. It's thinning, and it doesn't hold a crown as it should.
Really, you looked great, though.
Oh, I know. I look great. I got it.
So,
Anywho,
Julie, it's Sunday morning, we are actually, it's Sunday afternoon. We slept in.
You slept. Speak for yourself, mister.
Yeah. So we got some things done this morning, but it was, it was nice to be out late.
That was late
got home
for both of us.
We got home at 1 o'clock? Something like that?
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So, it was like definitely a night out in the town.
So Julie.
Yes, Daniel.
Why don't you tell the listeners about our guest today?
Happy to tell you about our guest today because, she is phenomenal. And, I love her name.
I'm sure you do. It's the Julie and Julie show today.
It's the Julie and Julie show today. We are hosting Julie Marty-Pearson. And Julie and I met at PodFest because we were both speakers in the Pechakucha event at PodFest. And I can't wait to continue to collaborate with her. I've gotten to speak at her podcasting party. She hosts these podcasting parties where you come and network and also get some awesome teaching from great individuals. I've been there, and I'm honored to be in all the company of all her other teachers, but it's so fun. And I've met some incredible people through her.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Julie, she's an advocate for furry friends,
Yes.
correct? So she's a woman after my own heart.
Oh, I know.
As we have 3 furry friends in our house.
Yeah, the Fluff Squad.
The Fluff Squad.
They're snoring away.
All dogs that we adopted. So.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I really like about the work that she does, that she is, again, a fellow fur mama and a connector. I love her storytelling, and she really believes that women's voices matter, especially in podcasting. And you know that that's exactly how I feel. So this is one of the reasons we are so aligned, and I really love collaborating with her.
And she's got her own show, The Story of My Pet, to raise awareness and share the love for our furry friends.
Mm-hmm. And I like the part, right, that we can kind of join forces with individuals that are in similar lanes. And it's all about the collaboration. And it's all about knowing, right, that we have our places where we all belong. So this is a great conversation. We had so much fun. I love talking to people that I've met in person, because it's sort of like this growing and nurturing the relationship, which, by the way, that quote that I shared by Pat Flynn is really one of my favorite quotes, because I do believe that as podcasters, we have an opportunity to gain the trust of the people that are listening to us by sharing the things that we know best.
Yeah. And no matter what you're talking about on your podcast, it could be any subject. You have that community and you connect with those people and can share, what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
That's what podcasts are about. It's power to the people, baby.
Mm-hmm. And so now I do want to say, because I would be remiss if I didn't touch on something that's been in my heart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. For those of you who may know me, and maybe you've heard me talk about it in, conversation with you during the week, my aunt passed away this week. And she was married to my uncle that passed away back in February. And I have to say, she was very instrumental in my life in so many different ways. And when I saw her at my uncle's funeral, I realized how much I had missed just spending time with her, and how I allow life to kind of get in the way. And just, you get busy, you get behind, and you're like, oh, yeah, we're going to talk. Oh, yeah, we'll connect. And you know what? I did not get a chance to connect with her more fully like I wanted to. And that's something that I don't regret, but I'm sad about. I'm sad about that I did not get a chance to hang out with her anymore. And I think that I want to remind everybody that in the middle of so many things that are going on in this world, it's going to be very easy to focus on the dumpster fire, the shit show, the uncertainty, the overwhelm. But we can concentrate on the power of connection, the power of relationships, and the power that we bring in the actions and the interactions that we have with each other. And this is why I am so fond of the work that Julie is doing, because she is prioritizing creating safe spaces for women who have wonderful messages to come together and share their voices. I know that a lot of the things that I have contributed to being who I am really came from strong women like my aunt. And she was someone who was super inspiring. She made a home. She made a beautiful home, raised 3 boys, which, by the way, we were kind of laughing that she used to iron all of their clothes, including underwear. And I remember saying to her one day, who the heck is going to marry your boys if the expectation is that they have to have their underwear ironed. And I was sharing that with my cousin's wife, and she was laughing. She's like, yeah, no, I don't do that. I don't know. So it was a good laugh. And the other thing, though, about my aunt is that she in the 1960s was a civil rights advocate, and her heart was that of helping and supporting others. Now, as she passed, the other big legacy that she leaves is that at 65, my friends, she decided to finish her bachelor's and her master's, and she was so proud of that. And I heard someone in the party that we went to last night was talking about how for her, she felt that her chapter, it was too late for a next chapter because she was in midlife. And honey, there is no too late. There is only tomorrow, and tomorrow needs to be built by your actions today. So if you have a today in front of you, seize the day, carpe diem. You can create the new reality. It's not necessarily a new chapter. You're never going to arrive. You're always going to be evolving. And this journey, how you put your foot in front of the other, is so important, because at the end of the day, whatever you decide to do, to live, to have in this moment is going to be the legacy that you leave behind. And for me, podcasting, as it is with Julie and many other podcasters that I know, we create a message because we believe that our voice can create a ripple effect in the lives of others.
That's amazing.
So I'm going to encourage people that they should connect with Julie, and they should connect and go to her podcasting party.
And you're going to be seeing her.
I am going
again at Podfest this year.
I sure am.
And the quote at the beginning, Pat Flynn.
And Pat Flynn. Oh my God, I can't wait to hug him in person. I'm going to have to come up with a plan of how I can kidnap him and spend some time alone with him. Sorry, I don't mean that, Pat.
So, yeah. Strike that from the record.
Strike that from the producer. Delete.
So I am going to introduce this interview with Julie and Julie.
Julie Square.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. It's Julie hyphenated Square.
That's right. We both have hyphenated names. I love that.
So let's join Julie DeLucca-Collins, my Julie, and Julie Marty-Pearson, speaking about her passion and her furry friends.
Let's take a quick break.
I want to pause for a moment, because if you're listening to this conversation and realizing that some of these patterns, like people pleasing, second guessing yourself, or feeling stuck in the messy middle, are showing up in your business, I want you to know that you're not alone. So many other women that I work with are hustling hard but not seeing consistent results, feeling scattered because they're trying to do all the things, or struggling to make decisions without doubting themselves, or just plain exhausted from running their business without a clear plan. And that's exactly why I created the Confident You CEO Retreat. It's a space where you step away from the noise, you get clarity in what actually matters, and walk away with a 90-day roadmap that feels doable and not overwhelming. If you've been craving focus, confidence, and strategy that actually works, this retreat is for you, my friend. Head into goconfidentlycoaching.com and you can save your spot at the website. Now, let's get back into this important conversation. Welcome back to another episode of Casa De Confidence. I have Julie with me, and you know I love talking to Julies because we are one special breed. I happen to have met this incredible individual in real life when we met at Podfest, and she does a lot of stuff that is totally aligned with me, and a girl after my own heart in so many different ways. She values connection. She loves fur babies, and it's a fur mama like me. But most importantly, she's out there making a difference in the lives of others. I want to introduce to you my friend, Julie Marty-Pearson. Welcome to the show, Julie.
Thank you, Julie, my fellow Julie. I'm so happy to be here.
I know, me too, me too. And I have to say, things happened for a reason. We met during Podfest, which seems like it was 100 years ago, even though we were there in January of 2025. And I know I'm dating us. And even though this might be evergreen, it's important to put context into the conversation. But I really loved what you spoke about during your session in Pechacucha, which I always have a hard time saying. Was that your first time doing a Pechacucha?
Yeah, it was. I had only been to Podfest once before that, and I didn't even see the Pichacuchas or Pechacucha, however you say it.
Right.
And but I knew that might have been an easy step in to speak. And it was a very interesting experience because it was so structured that we kind of had to fit in a box.
Yeah.
But I also loved it that it was like these 3 or 4 hour block that we got to hear everybody talk so quickly.
Yeah. What I loved about it, and very similar to you, it was my first time delivering a Pechacucha. And I was at the session the year before, which was my first time at Podfest, and I loved it. And I certainly didn't think that I would be able to do it because if you know me, you know I'm a little long-winded, my friends. That's why I have a podcast, I guess. And being able to stay within a constraint of time is one of the challenges for me. Even when I did my TEDx, that was one of the things that I kept struggling with. What? You want me to speak under what? And that was 10 minutes. And now to do the Pechacucha, which was like 2 minutes of that, was definitely going to be a challenge for me. But I thought, you know what? I don't grow unless I challenge myself. So that's why I applied for that particular presentation. And well, it's over and it was great. I enjoyed it. How about you?
I loved it. It was a lot of fun. I went later in the session, so I think that was hard because I kept hearing people do it. And in my head, I'm like, oh, good, do that. Oh, don't do that. And so I actually had to leave the room for a little bit before mine just to kind of focus. But
yeah,
I love the structure. And I think people don't realize how hard it is to stay within a time limit unless you have to do it.
Yeah.
And so I stretched that muscle too because I can be long-winded.
Yeah. I don't know. We have a lot to say because, we just love people and we love stories, I think.
Right. Yeah. I never really realized how much like storytelling resonated with me until I started a podcast.
Yeah.
But, it's really such an important part of our life and our legacy and all of that,
Yeah. Indeed.
It's important to do it, but you also want to make your story interesting. So long-winded isn't always the best. But like you said, practice is what we all need. We just have to stretch the muscles we haven't used before.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about the stretch for sure. So now, Julie, I have to say, one of the things that I really admired about you is that you're very purposeful driven. And as I mentioned, you not only are a podcaster, but you help individuals like we do with getting their podcast off the ground. Why do you feel our messages are important? And why is there room for more podcasts out there?
Yeah, I think people think, oh, there's so many, I shouldn't do it. And it's like, well, yeah, there are, but there's a very small percentage that are active. And, what I love about podcasting is there are so many options.
Yeah.
So what I always tell people, the great thing is you get to choose what it looks like for you, right? 5 minutes a day, an hour a month, whatever. But storytelling is really important because storytelling is like our history, our legacy, what we leave behind. And I learned that powerfully through podcasting myself and with friends. And what I always say, especially to women, I say there are not enough women's voices out in the world and there are not enough in podcasting. So if I can help one more, then that's my kind of purpose driven of helping others start it.
I'm so glad you said that because I think that for many individuals, right, they think that who is going to want to listen to me? Or what do I have to say? Or there's a lot of other people out there doing it better, or who have, fill in the blank and the things that we tell ourselves when it comes to compare and despair. But ultimately, I remind individuals that there is only one of you who can say the things that you say in the way that you say them. And at times we need someone to say that to us in the way that they do it. And that makes a big difference in the world for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I often will say, you don't know who needs to hear it, but there's somebody that needs to hear it. And especially with women, when we start talking, we start bonding over the different aspects of our lives that we're connected with. Like you mentioned, we're both fur mamas, and that connects us.
Yeah.
But, we're also women. We all go through the same things physically, hormonally. I've realized now, for how long I was struggling with perimenopause, menopause, all of that, and I didn't even know. And, there's just so many aspects for women that if we share our stories, we're going to connect and have that community, but we're also going to help someone because we all are going through something. And sometimes we just need to hear that it's okay, that it's normal, whatever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely. Normalizing what we go through, it's such a way that for me in particular, I have grown tremendously. I think that, again, we tend to go to the despair and compare and think that we are the only ones. But when I started to hear from other women, hey, I feel, or I've done, or I know what you're thinking, and I moved past that, right? Then that was one of the things that I thought, oh, okay, I'm not broken. And feeling that you're not alone, that you're not broken, definitely boosts your confidence in so many different levels.
It's so true. And, we're our own worst enemy. We talk to ourselves in our head in not nice ways. Often I've been doing it myself the last week for some reason. But, sometimes it just helps us to heal, to put it out there too. It's not even about who may need to hear it or, learns from it.
That's
I
right.
found with myself, with grief, with mental health, with physical health, that by talking about it and saying it kind of allows me to release it and not focus on it. And I think so many women focus on negative things all the time, and it keeps us from fully being ourselves. And no matter how amazing women are, we all go through it in our heads.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that this is such a good point to kind of expand on, because not only are you a podcaster, but you help other podcasters too in working and getting onto other shows and being a good guest. And obviously, if we have a podcast, we're going to talk, and we're going to share our stories, and hopefully someone resonates. But now let's take it to a different level. Podcasting with others and getting on a show and being a guest. For the individuals that maybe are growing a business or maybe have a message, but don't think that they would be a good guest, what is your advice for them?
Well, I always say just start, just try, because you don't know until you do it. Before I started my first podcast, I did a couple guesting just to see what it was and how they do it and what they say to me and all of that. And I'm guesting now for the same reasons. I want to see what other podcasts are doing, learn from them, but also share.
Yeah.
So I talk about how to be an awesome podcast guest. And so part of that is doing your research. Is if you've never been a guest before and you want to start, maybe start with someone who has a podcast, or something that maybe is brand new, because, they're not looking for certain things in their guests. They just want to start. So that's a good way to start in terms of feeling comfortable. But another is just ask a friend to get on Zoom with you and practice.
Such a good idea.
I've offered that for people, and I probably am going to start maybe doing something regularly. It's just a space for you to come, and I will interview you, just, general interview questions. But that helps you get the feel of what could be asked, what you might talk about. And, I think for a lot of people, they just think, oh, I should be guesting. But you need a strategy. You need a purpose. You don't want to just start guesting with no real focus of the things you want to talk about or what you want to promote. So that is something I'm finding more and more as I meet women, is they need more help figuring out how to do it, but also how to make it strategic for their business.
Yeah. One of the things that you said is totally on the money. Do your research about the shows that you want to get on. And I think that, I do appreciate a lot of the individuals that reach out to me. And by the way, I am starting to get a lot of people reach out, and I feel so bad because not everybody is the right fit for me.
Right.
And not everybody is someone who I feel would be of service to the listeners, right? And when I think of individuals that are coming on the show, I'm always looking for the person who my audience members want to hear from, the questions that they want to ask. And a lot of times, I'm not going to say what it is, but it was a gentleman selling a gentleman's product for mostly guys in their 20s. And I thought, dude, come on. This is not the one for you. I appreciate you thinking that this would be great, but it's not the right thing. How do you start doing research on a podcast?
Well, I can say as a host, I have the same issue. I get cold reach outs pretty much every day, DMs, emails, and it is frustrating when I start reading and I realize a sentence or two in, you haven't looked at what my podcast is about. You
100%.
haven't listened. And even sometimes I'm like, you realize, because I have one about pets. It's the story of my pet, and you're asking to come on talking about your business book or whatever. So the first thing I always say to people in doing your research is because you don't want to waste your time or their time. And as hosts, we have limited time.
Yeah.
But one of the things I tell people to do is go to listennotes.com and put in keywords, topics you want to talk about, and you can start to see what podcasts are coming up. I say listen notes because it gives you a lot of info, but it also gives data like how often, latest episode, rank, all these things that you can't necessarily see if you're searching in a podcast app. And I am a researcher. That's what I did in my past life. So I'm happy to help people with that aspect and really like some basic things they can be searching for or looking for. But, that's also why I use programs like Podmatch, because Podmatch asks us when we're setting up a profile, like, what are your tags? What are your niches? What is all these things that allows me to see and go like, that's a good fit or that's not. And then that's really a better way to move through it instead of just saying yes to any offer you get.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm so glad that you brought up Podmatch, and I love Podmatch. We know Alex in person as well. I met him through Clubhouse, believe it or not, back in the day. And I just love his heart for podcasters. And when he said he was building this thing, I'm like, yeah, count me in. Why not? I'll go in there. And now it is so fun to see what an amazing community has become, where people can really go in and connect, and you have all the information at your fingertips, which is so good. Now, you also, as we mentioned, have a podcast, but also are pet mom, and your podcast, you advocate. Advocacy is something that is so important in this world. Tell me a little bit about the advocacy that you do, and why did you start that?
So back when I first started my coaching business after the pandemic, I was taking all the courses like we do, and one of those was about podcasting. And so I spent 6 months trying to start around what I was doing, which at the time was career coaching. And it never got off the ground because I wasn't like waking up excited to talk about careers and resumes. So I kind of pushed it to the side and said, let's just do it for fun. Let's see if I even like it. So I got on Zoom with some friends and we talked about our pets. And I put out a few episodes, didn't edit at all. And people started listening, and then people started reaching out to be on. Like, what you will learn is everyone loves to talk about their pets.
You think?
Yes. So,
I love to talk about my pets all the time.
Yes. And I mean, that's how social media started, was cat videos,
that's
right?
Yes,
so
ma'am.
What happened was, first I realized, oh, wow, there are a lot of people out there like me, pet parents. We love our animals. We want to help. And then I started interviewing people who actually work in animal shelters, rescues. And as I did that, someone who I have always considered myself an animal advocate ever since I was little and first learned about PETA, I realized I knew such a small amount of what the reality was in the animal rescue world.
Mhm.
And so for me, it was the guests that kind of guided me in
Mhm.
that direction of sharing the stories of people who are fostering, people who are volunteering, people who
Mhm.
adopt, all these things. And then I really realized the need for it because as we got further away from 2020, the shelters started filling up.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people adopted or purchased animals during the pandemic, and then we're going
Mhm.
back to work. A lot of people were breeding because they didn't get them spay or neutered early
Yeah.
enough. So since that time, we are under a huge overpopulation crisis in the US.
Mhm.
And so what I realized was as I got more into podcasting and switching it to that's what my business is focused on, that the pet podcast was more of my passion, my side
Mhm.
thing, but it was my way of giving back. Since I started the
Yeah.
podcast, I volunteered, I fostered, I even worked for a while at one of my local shelters, but that wasn't something I could maintain at that level as my business grew. So for
Mhm.
me, my podcast about pets is really my place to use my time and energy to help animals. And
Mm.
so advocacy really is about educating people.
That's right.
I've realized people don't know what high kill shelter means or no kill shelter means, or why spay and neutering is important just
Mhm.
in general for your pet's health.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my focus, that it wasn't just going to be fun and talking, it was going to really have a purpose.
Mhm.
And I've met so many amazing people who dedicate their entire life to helping animals, that this is a little thing I can do for them by sharing their stories, sharing their programs, asking people to help them. So that's
Mhm.
really where the advocacy came in, was just kind of an evolution. But it also connected me with a lot of amazing people I never would have met if I hadn't started that podcast. So I love being a part of that world of animals because I've always been passionate about it.
Mhm.
But it also, that passion for animals helped me to learn podcasting in
Right.
ways that maybe others might not. So what I love about that podcast is it reminds me why I started, just for fun, for the love of something, but that it can grow into something you never expect. And
Yeah.
pretty much every woman I've met who has a podcast, that podcast has changed their life in some way. And so now I realize
100%.
that that's my passion within podcasting, is to help women do that. Now,
Yeah.
starting a podcast isn't right for everybody. And so what I'm realizing is a lot of my coaching is focused on who are you, what is your business, and what's right for you. Is it
Oh, so
guesting?
good.
Is it hosting? Is it both?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
we only have so much time in the day.
No, and I think that that's where a lot of people get burnt out because they think they have to do everything. I was just talking to someone yesterday, one of the guys from Buzzsprout actually, and there's such a trend. And by the way, I'm on YouTube. But I don't think that when I first launched my podcast, I would have been able to go into YouTube, even though I have all the support in the world, right? Handsome hot husband is along my side. He's the tech. I don't have to worry about the tech. And that made it great. But if I had to add one more thing to the mix, then I don't know if I would still be podcasting 5 years out. And I think that that's one of the things that is the challenge for many individuals, that, they see the Joe Rogans of the world or the Call Her Daddies of the world, and they think that they need to emulate that in, yes, should you be visible? Of course, but pick one thing, learn it, do it well, and then you can start to branch out. Because
Absolutely.
otherwise you're going to go into the pod fade, which we talked about.
And what I've realized in business in general, but definitely in podcasting, is you have to have realistic expectations.
Yeah, agreed.
Podcasting is a marathon. It is not a sprint. I talk to people all the time that they didn't see direct new clients from their podcast for 2 or 3 years. Like, it takes time. But I also recently heard from some marketing people that on average, people need to interact or hear you for 11 hours before they are ready to buy.
Yes, 100%. 100%. And people think that, they're going to find me on the podcast. They're going to listen to me on somebody else's show. And then they're going to come download my stuff and they want me. And that's
Right.
not really how it works. I think that we
I
need
remind
to
myself-
really see that.
Yeah, I remind myself of that when I'm like, oh, I guess I should post again. It's like one post isn't going to get people into my program or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And so a lot of what I do is ask people, what are you doing right now? Are you
Yeah.
guesting? Do you do video? Do you do live stream?
Yeah.
Because people should start where they already are. So
Mhm.
people who are already on YouTube, great. Build that up and then pull that and put it into a traditional podcast feed.
Yeah.
But if they don't have that, like you said, you don't have to do it all at once. I've been on YouTube too, but some of it is just my image with the audio over it. Some of it is full video. I don't have to do everything at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we get caught up in the well, they're doing all these things. Like, yeah, because they have a team behind them doing
Yes.
those
And we don't
things.
ever talk about that there. A lot of people think it's easy. And by the way, I don't do it all. We can't.
Yeah, I'm at that point in my business. Like, where can I let go and let someone else do for me? Because I can't. And oftentimes I don't get everything done. And personally, I've taken pauses on both of my podcasts at different times because of life, because of, my business needed something else at that moment. So it isn't realistic to see yourself doing guesting, doing your own, doing this, because we only have so much time and energy.
Yeah.
But everyone should be tapping into podcasting in some way because it's not going away. It continues to grow. And what we see over and over again is the podcasts that do well are the ones that are authentic, that are consistent, and aren't modeling themselves after someone else, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
One speaker I heard at PodFest said, you don't need ads. You don't need sponsors. You're the sponsor. Your business is the ad, and you should be putting it out there as such.
Absolutely.
It was a light bulb for me.
Yeah. I've been the sponsor on my podcast from the very beginning, but it was something that, I am lucky. Dan, again, we are podcast listeners, and he follows some really big podcast, and he's like, no, we're not going to go after advertisers. We are our advertisers. And in these little things make a world of difference and take away some of the crazy of, shooting for the thousands gazillion downloads. Because, you can have 100 people listen to your podcast. And if they're just consistent and if they are coming, then they will eventually become your clients because you've gained their trust. You've nurtured them. But like you said, you have to nurture them for a good, period of time.
Yeah, and it's true because I will say my pet podcast is not a part of my business, but it is. It's my proof that I know how to podcast,
That's right.
And my very first client that I helped start her own podcast was because she heard my pet podcast, wanted to do one about dogs, and had been told by someone else that was stupid and nobody would listen. Then she heard me and said, hey, I think she'll know if this is a good idea. And so you never know who is listening and how that could help your business, whether it's by clients or referrals or speaking or whatever. But you definitely want to start where you are. And so, a couple of the clients I've worked with, one was already doing online summits. Like, well, she's sitting on content that could be put out in other places for more people to discover her. Yeah. So I think a lot of it with podcasting is figure out what you're already doing and how you can use that within podcasting and not have unrealistic expectations that you're going to blow up overnight. My pet podcast has been going for over 3 years. I only have like 5,000 total downloads. That's it. I only have 50 some episodes because I've taken breaks when I needed to.
But that's great.
But it's still listed as a top 5% podcast because I have consistent listeners. Even when I take a break, they're there when the new one comes out.
The beauty is that, again, you set the tone, you set the schedule, and also that's the thing, right? That it's an evergreen content that then people come and find you and they can go back to your back catalog. So it's not that all of a sudden, it's going to go away like a Facebook post that in a couple of hours is irrelevant.
That is what I love about podcasting is we have so much more control over it, how we put it out, where, when, what we use it for. And, there's nothing wrong with the fact that I know there's episodes sitting there that people are listening to that I put out 2 or 3 years ago because it's still connecting to people and it's still making a difference. But I've
Yeah.
also myself had to rethink. I started a second podcast about launching a podcast. And then I realized
That's
that's
awesome.
not what everybody's asking me. People are asking me about guesting and all these
Yeah.
different things. So I paused it
Good
because
call.
I didn't want to keep putting it out with content that wasn't actually what my clients needed. So I'm relaunching with a focus on podcasting more broadly, because we also have to think about, if it's not what people need, they're not going to keep listening, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what people don't get, right? And I think that even I've done it, and this is one of the things that if I had to go back, right, these are the things that I would correct. Sometimes we think, okay, I got to do, this is what I want to do, but is that what people need? Is that what they want? Is that what they're looking for? And even in your business, sometimes we want to, sell people a boat, but they're not looking for a boat. They want to take a plane. So a lot of different things.
That's a great example.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's definitely one of the lessons that I wish I would have learned much sooner, much sooner. So tell me a little bit about some of the advocacy that you do for pets.
So I really promote education around, if you want to get a pet, or if you want to add another pet to your family, is why adoption is really important. Because, there are so many animals in shelters right now that, may lose their life because there just aren't enough homes for all of the cats and dogs in our country.
No.
And I live in California, which is one of the worst states. And I live in a county that has like a 40% euthanasia rate, which it breaks my heart.
Wow.
And I just really
I did not realize it was so high.
Yep, it's very high. And and unfortunately, with the economy and other craziness in our world, it's not going to get any better. It really is a widespread issue from city and county and state. It's about spay and neuter. It's about laws that make people spay and neuter their pets, but it's also about the fact that veterinarian care is very limited.
Yep.
We don't have enough vets in our country.
Yep.
And there aren't enough in the pipeline in school to correct it. And people don't realize what a stressful world animal rescue and veterinary medicine is. Veterinarians actually have one of the highest suicide rates of medical providers.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart.
This is the kind of thing that, like, realize you're not alone. It's not just you. You can't find good vet care. What are the programs in your area? Like, I now know I have spay neuter options at various places, and, low cost vaccines. So advocating for me is really about education. Is, do you know what's available to you? Please try these things before you give up your pet. Yeah. But also, if you're considering a pet, we don't just say adopt, don't shop because we're animal rights people and we're yelling at you. We're saying it because breeders need to be stopped because they don't care for their animals and a myriad of other reasons. But I know people say, I could never go to a shelter. It's so sad. I go, yeah, imagine what it's like for the animals that have to live there and have no idea what's going to happen next. And so I have learned that I have to practice what I preach. So, volunteering in a shelter and cleaning out cat cages. Bonus, you get to pet all the cats and kittens as you're cleaning. But, you got to really get in there and see what's going on, understand what is happening in your own community. And one of the things I ask every guest to come with is the name and information of at least one animal rescue or nonprofit in their area. Because the other piece of advocacy is the visibility. Yeah. And I know the power of social media. And I've seen dogs saved from the 24-hour notice to be euthanized in my own area because we're pushing videos about them. And people come from hours away to adopt this amazing dog. Yeah. And so for me, advocacy is a myriad, but it really is about education and action. Yeah. And getting people to understand that a $5 donation a month, or a $20 this, or giving your old towels or an hour of your time can really make a big difference for the overcrowded shelters as well as the rescues. The rescues are having a hard time now too.
They are. I see that all the time in my town. And, definitely it's heartbreaking. There was actually, interestingly, that you're bringing this up. There was a little pug in one of the Facebook groups that I belong to here in town, and this woman went ahead and took it in as a foster, but it came from a breeder, and she said there's a sister to this little dog, and that the breeder has no interest in taking care of them because they're struggling, they're not healthy.
Right.
And she's like, I really want to save this other dog. And I'm thinking like, and these are the kind of dogs, a pug and, a Boston Terrier. There's so many that people pay thousands of dollars for.
I know it breaks my heart when I see that, because I'm thinking, do you know how many pets you could save with that? $500 or $1,000? And I will always say, I have nothing against any breed. I love all animals.
Yep.
But part of the issue with breeders is them breeding, especially with dogs, the flat-faced dogs, which people don't realize are not a natural breed. That came through genetic testing and breeding. And a lot of times animals, cats and dogs with flat faces have a lot of health issues. Yeah. Breathing, sinuses, all these things. And I have a friend who has a pug, and that dog has been to the vet more since they got him than any other animal. Yeah. So some of it is also educating on, it's not just about what's a cute animal, right?
Yeah.
And right now you can pretty much find everything in shelters because it's just so bad.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that if people only realize, I have a Maltese, and the Maltese came to us because my boss passed away and her family couldn't keep the dog. So I took Simba, and he's been with us since 2017, and he's our baby, and we love Maltese. We love him. And if it leaves, which I hate to always think about that. And we wanted another Maltese. There's a Maltese rescue. And I've been actually following the Maltese rescue, the Metropolitan Maltese Rescue in New York City, my friends. They have 2 dogs, Salt and Peppa, and they're up for adoption. So if you want to help a couple beautiful Maltesers, that would be a really great place to go. And, if it were up to me, listen, I'd be bringing them home. But Dan has said that he has a 2-dog maximum, and currently we are at 3.
Hey, I get it. My husband is that. It has to be, because we all have to have that person, because I would have 50 dogs and cats at this point.
I know, me too.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that is something I tell people. If there's a certain breed you like or want to have, there's probably a rescue. There's golden retriever rescues. There's doodle rescues. There's pug rescues, because
that's right.
There aren't enough homes for all the animals being born, and breeders keep doing it because they think they can make money. And then when they don't, they're not giving them vet care. They're dumping them on the street, or some people put animals in boxes and crates and just leave them outside shelters. It's awful.
It's awful.
So if there's an animal you like, I will bet you money, even if it's not in your local area, it's somewhere that they specifically, I've met people who do greyhounds that used to be racing dogs. There's pretty much a rescue for everything.
Absolutely.
But that's, and also search Pet Finder. You can search by location, by breed, by age. But also you mentioned that you got your dog because someone had passed. People hear shelter animals and they think, oh, they're all bad behavior. Oh, they're there for a reason. No, they're there because their people can't afford to care for them, because they lost their home, because someone has died or someone has been put in assisted living. Right. When I was helping with the dog adoption events, there was this one dog that I can visually remember, terrified, shaking in its kennel, shaking in the little crate we put it in. And what I had to do was scoop him up and just hold him. And it took about 30 minutes before the shaking stopped.
Yeah.
And before I could feel the dog start to relax a little bit. People don't realize the trauma that a lot of these animals are going through. And this is also your reminder, if you are listening to this and you are a pet parent, please go right now and figure out who could care for your pets if something happened to you.
You need to create a plan. And there's an organization in California called Frosted Faces. And that's the organization. When people are sending me, I've told, there's several people that are part of my family that's who they donate to rather than sending me a gift, because they take only elderly dogs. Most of them, their owners have passed away, or like you said, have gone into assisted living, and they didn't have a plan. A lot of them are also bonded pairs, which always breaks my heart. And the beautiful thing about Frosted Faces, and I'm going to put the link also in the show notes for them, because they actually, if you adopt a dog from them, your vet care, they take care of that for life, which, it's amazing. And there is no fee for the adoption as well. And yeah, and I have to tell you, my dogs are senior dogs now, and they are 12, respectively, Yogi and Simba, and Junior's 8, but they are really fun dogs. They have a lot of energy. They keep you going, and they bring you so much more love than I could ever give to anybody else. So yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for senior dogs and cats. We currently have 3 cats, and our oldest, Charlie, is almost 16. And he's a diabetic and doesn't run around like he used to, but he still jumps up and makes his little scratchy meow when he sees me come home. And one of the reasons we don't currently have dogs is because he doesn't handle change well. He has the anxiety, he always has. And we're like, you know what? He deserves to live his golden years out in peace with, not a lot of changes. And then someday we'll get to, add other animals.
Right,
but, my husband came home one day from work and said, so-and-so did this. I can't believe they're not going to actually treat their dog for that. How could they do that? Because we couldn't imagine it. Now, everybody has their own reasons for those things.
For sure.
But so many animals end up in shelters and rescues because they're older and need more care, or need more vet appointments, or need medications. And it's like, there's probably somebody who could help you with that. Please look at your resources before you give up an animal. But also, if you're willing to foster and adopt older animals, you are an angel. And because it's such an important thing for us to do for them,
Yeah, absolutely. My mom moved in with us, as most people who listen to the show know, and my dogs bring her a lot of joy. And I often think, maybe there's a way for me, and there's a lot of people who have animals, and that's a really great way, to find out if there's organizations that can help you train animals and take them to places where people would just love to have someone cuddle with them and make them smile,
Yeah, people don't realize that therapy dogs really are just cuddle dogs. Or
yeah, they are.
They're just there to let you pet them, to sit with you. And I've had many guests talk about how they've had therapy animals they've taken to, one of my guests, Joanne, had Smiley the blind golden retriever. And she put him through the training to be a therapy dog. And what he did was he would go to schools and libraries and sit with little kids as they read, to make them comfortable reading aloud and learning to read. And there's an organization where I live, Miracle Mutts, that does it too. They go to
very nice.
Senior living. You just don't know the power of a purr from a cat.
Yes.
Or a wagging tail from a dog. Yeah, it's amazing.
So good. So good. I could talk to you all day, Julie. You're just my kind of person. We are so aligned in so many different things. Now, you have some great things that you're doing in addition to the pet communities, but you really know the importance of networking for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. What is the importance, and how do you help individuals do that?
So I will say the 2 things that have kept me in business, both as a coach and a podcaster, are networking and community. And without those, I wouldn't be here. And so I really talk about the importance of networking, but being strategic in the groups you go to, like make it worth your time. So one of the things I did last year was I created my own community called the Women's Podcaster Party. Nice. And it's for women podcasters, guests, speakers, or anyone who wants to be one of those things to just come and meet other people and network. But I've also started doing a featured speaker in those events. So it's really a space for women to connect, to learn from each other, to support each other, whether it's guests looking for hosts or vice versa. Because I always say is I love my podcast communities that are bigger, like Podfest, who have,
Right.
Everyone is included, but women, we talk about different things on our podcast.
Oh,
and
100%.
we talk about things differently than men
Yeah.
do. And there are things we want to talk about or ask questions that we don't necessarily always feel comfortable in larger networking situations.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
that's why I created that space, because women and non-binary people, we need more voices out in the world right now more than ever. But also, I just want to support people to realize that whatever you have to say is important and there's a place for you to share it.
Yeah. Oh, so good. So good. I mean, I love everything that you do. I think people need to connect with you. You are one of these givers. You are incredibly fun to be around and definitely creating a ripple effect through the support and the friendship that you offer people that are coming into your universe. Tell me how people find you and where do they find you most? Where are you hanging out these days online?
I'm mostly on Instagram and Facebook, but I am on YouTube and LinkedIn as well. You can go to juliemarty-pearson.com and you'll find all my links, my podcaster party, networking events, workshops I offer, and all the things. So
yeah, you're very good at the workshops, by the way. I love that. I saw that. I was peering in your website and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's good. I like it. I'm going to sign up for one of them.
I love it because I've been playing with marketing, and one workshop I have done before, I changed one word in the title and then I got more people to sign up. So I just love playing with all of that. And I also love learning and then passing that on. Like I said,
me too.
It doesn't hurt me to turn someone else into a great guest, because then they'll probably tell someone else to come. Right.
That's how it works. It's the law of reciprocity. I can always stumble on that word, but it's a true word.
But I think also it's in that compare and despair. Don't compare yourself to what people put out on social, because you have no idea how long it took them to get to that or how many people are working for them and all of that. And what I've also realized as a coach is I'm not right for everyone. And 100%. If you're not right for me, I want to find the right person that is. I want to have a good referral network, because I'd rather refer you to someone else who in turn may refer a client to me down the way than to say to someone, oh, I can't help you. Sorry. No, that's not.
Listen, there's a fit for everyone. And I know that, I often tell my clients, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that is fine. Because some people, maybe don't like strong tea or don't like sweet tea or whatever it might be, right? So know that a relationship in your community, collaborating with other people that may fall within your same lane, means that you can go faster, stronger together. And that's really what matters. Julie, you're going to have to come back. Now, are you applying to Podfest for next year?
I will be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Me too.
It's funny. The first year I went in 2024, it was such a weird experience to be somewhere where I'm like, wait, I know you. I think I know. It's like we have all these friends online.
I know, we do.
So now I just call it our family reunion.
That's
Podfest is we know at least once a year we get to see each other and hang out.
Yeah. Well, I am excited to be able to hug you in person again. And thank you again for taking the time to be here, my friend. You're amazing. You're doing some incredible work in the world. And I want to encourage, if you are listening today and you want to launch a podcast, you want to learn more about being a guest, and you want to meet a very, very cool person, go hang out with my friend Julie. Also, her podcast, The Story of My Pet, is an incredible show. I'm going to link all of her things in the show notes. Go and check her out. And of course, tell her you loved her. Find one thing that you're going to implement into your life. Maybe you're going to go and volunteer at a shelter, or you're going to share a little bit more of your financial resources with a shelter, or perhaps you're going to take the first step in being a guest, or even better, launching your own story in your own podcast. You know that we are going to be cheering you on. Thank you so much, Julie. And don't forget, my friends, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Bye now.
Thanks for listening to Casa De Confidence. We thank you for listening, and if you want more, go to casadeconfidencepod.com. Check Julie out on her socials as Julie DeLucca-Collins. And you can also check out her website at goconfidentlycoaching.com. Have a great week, and don't forget, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Hi, everybody. I know that sometimes we get very lonely in this entrepreneur journey, and I want to invite you to join us into our limited time only Purposeful You Mastermind. For many of us entrepreneurs, we believe that we can do it all, but the reality is that doing it alone only creates a lot of overwhelm. So join us at the Purposeful You Mastermind. You can find out more information by going to bit.ly/Julie's Mastermind. This is going to be the place where you are able to then unlock your full potential and achieve long-term success for your business, push you behind your current limits, expand your connections, discover new ideas, and implement them with confidence. You're going to get the support in all aspects and transforming you to the six-figure business you've been looking for. Pause and get off the hamster wheel if you've been spinning around. This is a time where you can get that support from like-minded entrepreneurs that are here to join you in your journey. Together, we can challenge the assumptions and land the speaking engagements and opportunities we want to grow our business and make an impact in the lives of people. See you then. Remember, you can find the mastermind at bit.ly, Julie's Mastermind.